How many times have you put off something truly important? Maybe it was a project you've been meaning to start, a class assignment, or just a new habit you promised yourself you'd stick to. You thought, I'll do it tomorrow. And then, tomorrow turned into next week. And before you knew it, the moment had passed, leaving you with nothing but regret and self-criticism. The truth is, laziness and procrastination are like silent thieves. They don't kick down the door or make a scene. They quietly steal your time, your energy, and your dreams, one moment at a time. You don't notice it at first, but the damage shows up in unfinished goals, low energy, and that heavy feeling of being stuck. We often tell ourselves, everybody gets lazy sometimes, and that's true. We all have those days when motivation is low. But when procrastination becomes a habit, it's no longer harmless. It turns into a vicious cycle. The more you avoid, the guiltier you feel gives. The guilt drains your motivation gives, and the less you do, the worst part. Time doesn't stop for anyone. Every day we stay stuck is a day we can never get back, a missed chance to grow, to create, to change. Here's the good news. Laziness isn't who you are. It's not a fixed part of your personality, and you don't have to just live with it. In Buddhist wisdom, laziness isn't seen as a flaw in your character, but as a state of mind, something you can recognize, understand, and transform. And transformation doesn't come from beating yourself up or forcing yourself to grind harder. Buddhism doesn't promote extreme discipline or self-punishment. Instead, it offers a deep understanding of the roots of laziness, our attachment to comfort, our fear of discomfort, and our doubts about our own ability, and shows us how to dissolve them in a lasting, sustainable way. In this video, I'm going to share powerful Buddhist stories, simple yet deeply symbolic, that can hit you straight in the heart. They're not just stories to make you feel good. They're mirrors that help you see yourself more clearly, recognize the patterns holding you back, and, most importantly, discover how to break free from them. You'll learn why a tiny parrot risked everything to put out a raging forest fire, how a once lazy young man climbed an impossible mountain, and why sometimes a single drop of honey can make us forget the danger that's right in front of us. If you're ready to end laziness for good, if you want to wake up each morning with purpose and energy, stay with me until the end. Because what you're about to hear won't just change the way you think about procrastination. It might just change the way you live the rest of your life. When most people think of laziness, they picture someone lying on the couch, scrolling endlessly through their phone, avoiding any form of work or movement. But in Buddhism, laziness has a much deeper meaning. It's not simply about doing nothing. It's a subtle but powerful mental obstacle. It's a state of mind that clouds your judgment, drains your motivation, and stops you from cultivating the qualities that lead to real growth and happiness. In other words, laziness is not just about inaction. It's about the inner resistance that keeps you from doing what matters, even when you know it would benefit you. And that resistance doesn't always look like lying in bed all day. Sometimes it hides behind being busy with the wrong things, distracting yourself with meaningless activities so you can avoid what's truly important. The three faces of laziness. Buddhist teachings break laziness down into three main types, each with its own unique disguise. The laziness of idleness. This is the most obvious kind, constantly postponing tasks, telling yourself, I'll do it later, and then never actually doing it. It's the inertia of comfort, where your body and mind prefer the ease of doing nothing over the effort of meaningful action. You might know exactly what needs to be done, but the thought of starting feels so heavy that you'd rather escape into entertainment, small talk, or sleep. The laziness of clinging to unwholesome habits. This form of laziness is trickier to recognize because you're still doing something, just not the right thing. You might be deeply engaged in habits that drain your energy and derail your goals. Binge watching TV, overindulging in food or drink, gossiping, chasing short-term pleasures. These activities feel comfortable in the moment, but they erode your discipline and clarity over time. In the Buddhist view, these are unwholesome, not because pleasure is inherently bad, but because they keep you from pursuing what truly benefits you and others. The laziness of self-doubt and defeatism. This one is the most dangerous because it attacks your belief in yourself. It's when you think, I'm not good enough. I'll fail anyway. What's the point of trying? That mindset can paralyze you before you even start. You surrender to inaction not because you don't care, but because you've convinced yourself you can't succeed. In Buddhism, this form of laziness is especially harmful because it kills both hope and effort, trapping you in a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure. The hidden roots of laziness. Buddhism teaches that these three forms of laziness are just symptoms of deeper mental patterns. If you want to end laziness forever, you can't just push yourself harder. You have to address the roots: attachment to comfort. We naturally seek pleasure and avoid discomfort. There's nothing wrong with wanting rest, but when comfort becomes a shield against challenge, it turns into a prison. We start to choose the soft couch over the difficult conversation, the easy distraction over the meaningful work. Fear of discomfort and effort. Sometimes we avoid tasks not because they're hard, but because they might be uncomfortable. We fear failure, rejection, or even just the awkwardness of being a beginner. That fear creates a mental wall before we've even taken the first step. Lack of clear purpose without a clear why. Effort feels meaningless. If you don't know what you're working toward, every task seems heavier than it is. Clear goals turn effort into progress. Without them, work feels like wandering in the dark. Self-doubt. This is the root that feeds the laziness of defeatism. When you doubt your own ability, you hesitate, and hesitation feeds procrastination. The mind looks for any excuse to delay, telling you that later will be better, but later rarely comes. The antidote: virya and right effort. In Buddhist practice, the direct opposite of laziness is virya, often translated as diligence, energy, or joyful effort. But this isn't about frantic hustle or exhausting yourself to prove your worth. Virya is about wholehearted, steady, and purposeful action. There are three kinds of virya. Armor-like diligence. This is the determination that protects you from laziness. Like armor protects a warrior, it's fueled by a deep commitment, not just to your own goals, but ideally to the well-being of others. When your purpose is bigger than yourself, you're less likely to quit when things get hard. The diligence of application. This is the daily, consistent effort of walking your path without turning back. It's showing up for your practice, your work, your commitments, even on days when you don't feel like it. In Buddhism, it's the habit of applying the teachings in real life, moment after moment. Unrelenting diligence. This is the refusal to be satisfied with what you've already accomplished. It's not about greed or perfectionism, but about seeing every moment as another opportunity to do good, learn more, and help others. As one Buddhist teaching puts it, even if you will die tomorrow, learn something new today. Right effort. A step-by-step guide. Virya. is also expressed in right effort, one of the Eightfold Path's core elements. It's a systematic way of directing your energy toward what matters most. Prevent unwholesome qualities from arising. Stay mindful so you can catch negative thoughts before they take root, especially the ones that whisper excuses to delay. Abandon unwholesome qualities that have already arisen. If you notice you've slipped into avoidance or distraction, gently but firmly bring yourself back to what matters. Cultivate wholesome qualities that haven't yet arisen. Proactively grow virtues like patience, generosity, and determination. The very qualities that counter laziness. Maintain and strengthen wholesome qualities already present. Once you've built good habits, protect and reinforce them. Consistency is the bridge between short bursts of effort and lifelong transformation. In the Buddhist view, overcoming laziness isn't about working harder for a week and then burning out. It's about building a relationship with effort, one that is joyful, compassionate, and purposeful. When you understand laziness as a mental state rather than a fixed trait, you see that it can be transformed. And when you practice virya and right effort, you don't just get more done, you grow into someone who naturally moves toward what matters, without the constant battle against yourself. Understanding laziness through Buddhist wisdom is powerful, but knowing about it isn't enough. Change doesn't come from theory alone. The mind needs more than instructions. It needs experiences that touch the heart, stir the spirit, and make the lessons unforgettable. That's why Buddhist teachings are filled with stories. For thousands of years, monks and teachers have shared parables, fables, and simple tales to convey truths that no lecture could capture. Stories speak to something deeper than logic. They bypass the mind's defenses and plant seeds of transformation directly in the heart. The following stories aren't just moral lessons. They're mirrors. Each one reflects a different aspect of laziness, from comfort-seeking idleness to the paralysis of self-doubt and shows. Story 3. The monk and the heavy stone. In a quiet monastery nestled between green hills, a young novice monk had a habit of avoiding hard work. He swept the temple floor lazily, skipped chores when he could, and always found an excuse to rest in the shade while others labored. One day, the abbot called him over. Without a word, the abbot handed him a large, smooth stone, heavier than it looked, and said, "Carry this stone with you wherever you go. Do not set it down unless you are sleeping." The young monk was puzzled, but obeyed at first. It was easy. The stone was heavy, but he thought, "I can manage this." But as the hours passed, his arms began to ache. He tried shifting it from one side to the other, but no position felt comfortable. When he went to fetch water, the stone slowed him down. When he swept the courtyard, the stone made him clumsy. By evening, his shoulders burned with pain. "Master," he groaned, "this is impossible. Please, let me put it down." The abbot looked at him kindly. "You've been carrying this stone for one day, and you already want to give up. Yet you've been carrying laziness in your mind for years, heavier than this stone, and you never tried to put it down." The young monk froze. The abbot continued, "Laziness is like this stone. At first, it seems harmless, but the longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. If you don't let it go, it will slow you down in every step of your life." The novice bowed his head, ashamed. The next morning, without being told, he began working diligently. His sweeping was thorough, his water buckets full, his mind more alert. The stone had been heavy, but the lesson was far heavier, and it stayed with him for the rest of his days. Story 3. The well beneath the tree. Long ago, A man wandered through the forest and suddenly heard the roar of a tiger behind him. His heart pounded as he ran for his life. Spotting an old, dry well under a great tree, he leaped in to escape. He grabbed onto a root hanging down. Looking up, the tiger paced above. Looking down, he saw a huge black serpent waiting below. Then he noticed two mice, one white, one black, gnawing at the root he clung to. Every bite weakened it. In that moment, he saw 5 drops of golden honey dripping from a beehive just within reach. The sweetness tempted him. Forgetting the tiger, the serpent, and the weakening root, he leaned forward and tasted the honey. It was delicious, and for that brief moment, he forgot the danger. This story is a Buddhist parable. The tiger represents the inevitable approach of death. The serpent represents the uncertainty of what lies beyond. The white and black mice are day and night, time passing without pause. The honey is life's fleeting pleasures. Laziness doesn't always look like lying on a bed doing nothing. Sometimes it's the choice to focus on small, sweet distractions while ignoring the real dangers of wasting our time and potential. If the man had used his remaining strength to climb out or find a way to save himself, his life could have been spared. But like many of us, he was seduced by momentary comfort. The lesson is clear. Don't let the sweetness of comfort make you forget the urgency of your purpose. Every moment is a chance to act before the root breaks. Story 4. The hidden cost of laziness. In a small Buddhist monastery, there was a monk named Tenzin who had a habit of postponing everything. If the master asked him to sweep the courtyard, he would say, "I'll do it after lunch." If it was time to study the scriptures, he would say, "I'll read them tomorrow." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. One evening, an elder monk approached Tenzin and said, "I have a gift for you, but you must collect it from the far end of the forest tomorrow morning. It is something that will help your practice greatly." Tenzin nodded, but when morning came, he felt too lazy to get up early. "I'll go after breakfast," he thought. Then he delayed until noon, then afternoon. By the time he finally walked to the forest's edge, the elder was gone, and so was the gift. That night, the elder monk told him, in the forest was a rare medicinal herb that blooms only once every 10 years. And only for a single morning. If you had come early, you could have used it to heal your lingering illness. But you hesitated, and the chance is gone. Tenzin felt a sharp pain in his heart. He realized that his laziness had cost him something precious, not only the herb, but the opportunity to improve his health and deepen his practice. In Buddhist teaching, every moment we waste is a seed of karma we plant. Laziness may seem harmless, but it quietly steals our time, our health, our opportunities, and even our spiritual progress. Worse, habitual laziness builds a mind that resists growth, making the next opportunity even harder to seize. The elder's final words stayed. With Tenzin forever, a single wasted moment may seem small, but a lifetime of wasted moments is the heaviest burden you will ever carry. From that day forward, Tenzin woke early, worked diligently, and no longer let the comfort of the present steal the promise of the future. Story 5. The Zen story of the Life. A young monk once approached his master and said, "Master, I feel overwhelmed. I have so many tasks, sweeping the hall, fetching water, studying the scriptures, and yet I keep delaying them. I don't know where to begin, so I end up doing nothing." The master listened quietly and then handed the monk a dry leaf. "Take this leaf," he said, "and drop it into the river outside. The monk obeyed. The leaf floated gently on the water, carried by the current. Sometimes it spun in circles, sometimes it slowed, sometimes it rushed forward, but it kept moving. "Do you see?" the master asked. "The leaf doesn't try to control the river, it flows with it. You too are trying to control the current of life, deciding exactly when and how everything should happen. But in trying to control it all, you freeze and do nothing." The monk frowned. "But if I just go with the flow, won't I become lazy?" The master shook his head. "No, going with the flow in Zen doesn't mean drifting aimlessly. It means taking the next natural step without clinging to perfection or fearing the outcome. When you let go of the need to get it all right, your work will move forward naturally, like the leaf in the river." That day, the young monk returned to his chores with a lighter heart. He didn't try to plan the entire day at once. He simply picked up the broom and swept. Then he fetched water. Then he studied a passage of scripture. By evening, all his tasks were done, and he felt no heaviness, no resistance. The lesson is simple but powerful. Procrastination often comes from overthinking and over-controlling. When we release the grip and take the next small, natural step, momentum builds and the work gets done with ease. Overcoming laziness is not about one burst of motivation. True change happens when we build a way of living that naturally keeps us moving forward. In Buddhist wisdom, transformation is not a sudden leap, but a steady path, one step at a time, repeated with awareness. Below are 4 essential principles that helps you create lasting change. 1. Set meaningful goals, plus apply consistent effort. One of the main reasons people procrastinate is because their goals are vague, shallow, or imposed by others. A meaningful goal comes from the heart. It connects to your values, your compassion, and your sense of purpose. Ask yourself, if I could dedicate my life to one thing that truly matters, what would it be? The Buddha taught that right intention, samsakapa, is the foundation of the Eightfold Path. Without a meaningful intention, effort becomes aimless. Once your goal is clear, consistency is more important than intensity. Just as a tree grows, not by sudden spurts, but by steady nourishment, your progress comes from small, regular actions. Even 20 minutes a day toward your goal builds momentum. In Buddhist terms, this is virya, the energy and perseverance too. Keep going, no matter how small the step. 2. Nurture faith in yourself. Many forms of laziness come from doubt. I'm not good enough, I'll fail anyway, it's too late for me. The Buddha recognized this as a mental hindrance, or skeptical doubt that clouds our mind and freezes action. Faith in Buddhism is not blind belief. It is confidence born from experience. Remember times you have succeeded, even in small things. Recall challenges you overcame when you thought you couldn't. Each memory is a seed of faith. You can also borrow faith from others. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. Read stories of perseverance. Listen to teachings that remind you of your potential. Over time, you will see that your mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of trust, they will grow into the confidence you need to act. 3. Practice mindfulness in every day. Work mindfulness, sati, is not only for meditation cushions, it is the art of being fully present in whatever you are doing. When you work mindfully, you notice your thoughts of resistance as they arise. I don't feel like doing this. Maybe later, just one more scroll through my phone. Instead of obeying those thoughts, you simply observe them, let them pass, and return to the task at hand. This breaks the automatic chain of procrastination. A practical way to cultivate mindfulness at work is the one breath, one task method. Before starting a task, take one deep, conscious breath. Commit to doing it for just 5 minutes. Once you begin, you'll often find it easier to keep going. The Buddha taught that mindfulness guards the mind like a watchman at the city gate, allowing in only what serves you and letting go of distractions. 4. Reflect on impermanence to fuel action impermanent. Anicca is not a depressing idea. It is the ultimate motivator. Everything changes, and every opportunity will pass. The time to act is now, because no moment will ever come. 1. The mindset of diligence. Buddhism teaches that virya, diligent effort, is like armor you wear against the enemies of the mind. Laziness, doubt, and distraction cannot easily pierce it when you are shielded by steady determination. Diligence. As armor, imagine putting on a suit of spiritual armor each morning. This armor is not heavy, it is made of commitment. You decide that no matter how you feel, you will take at least one step toward your goal today. Passionate application, diligence, is not dry discipline. It's fueled by enthusiasm. The Buddha praised zeal in wholesome actions, meaning you bring energy and even joy into your work. When you see each task as an opportunity to grow, diligence becomes self-rewarding, persistence without end. True diligence doesn't stop after a single success or when things get difficult. It is like a flowing river. It may encounter rocks and bends, but it keeps moving toward the sea. 2. Applying the 4 right efforts. 4 right efforts, samapadona, are a precise framework to channel your diligence effectively. Prevent savara, guard the mind before unwholesome states arise. This means setting boundaries, limiting distractions, avoiding environments that trigger procrastination. Abandon panna, remove unwholesome states that have already arisen. If you find yourself scrolling mindlessly or making excuses, pause, breathe, and return to your task. Develop bhavan, cultivate wholesome qualities that are not yet present. Practice habits like starting your day with a clear plan or beginning with the smallest possible step. Maintain anarakana, protect wholesome qualities that have arisen. If you find a working rhythm, guard it from interruptions and maintain your focus. 3. Strategies from the stories. The 5 stories we explored are not just moral tales. They are practical blueprints for overcoming laziness. Break tasks into manageable pieces. The feather on the mountain, just as the young man succeeded by taking one feather at a time. Break your goals into small, achievable actions. This prevents overwhelm and builds steady progress. Live fully in the present moment. Focus on doing the task right in front of you, without obsessing over the whole list. Being present turns work into a flow rather than a burden. Remember, impermanence, the well under the tree, knowing that life is short and uncertain, creates urgency. Use this awareness to choose meaningful action over idle delay. Recall the consequences of chronic laziness, the danger of idleness. Reflect on how wasted time compounds into lost opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Let the image of future regret push you into present action, putting it all together to integrate Buddhist wisdom into your life. Start each day with intention. Decide one meaningful thing you will do. Protect your focus. Remove common distractions before they pull you off track. Work in mindful bursts. 5 focused minutes often turn into more. Reflect daily. At night, review what you did well and where you slipped. Connect your actions to your values. Remember why you began. When you combine the mindset of diligence, the 4 right efforts, and the story-based strategies. Laziness loses its grip. You begin to move naturally, steadily, and joyfully toward your goals, and in the process, you live in harmony with the deepest truths of life. Laziness is not your destiny. It is not a fixed trait you must accept. In the Buddhist view, it is a passing obstacle, a cloud that can be dispersed with the winds of awareness, diligence, and right effort. Every story, every teaching you have read here points to one truth. Change is possible, and it begins the moment you choose to act. Remember the young man who climbed the mountain one feather at a time. The little parrot who fought the forest fire with its tiny wings. The man who realized the fleeting nature of life at the well beneath the tree. The warning of karmic consequences from chronic idleness. The leaf that floated in the river, teaching us the power of presence. These are not just tales from the past. They are mirrors reflecting your present life. They show that the gap between who you are and who you could be is bridged by one thing: consistent, mindful action. Each step of diligence you take today lays the foundation for tomorrow's happiness and success. This is not a poetic slogan. It is a truth you can verify in your own life. With every small effort, choosing to begin, choosing to continue, choosing to return after distraction, you are planting seeds that will inevitably bear fruit. So here is your invitation. Start now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Pick one small, meaningful action you can take today and take it. Read one page, make one call, clean one corner of your space. Write the first sentence. When you begin, momentum will follow. When you persist, transformation will happen. And when you live with diligence, you are not only overcoming laziness, you are aligning yourself with the deepest wisdom of life.